right here at home. Protect your out. We put the work in. Let's finish. Come on, man. Let's do this. Family up here. 1, 2, 3. Yeah.
You see, we dream chase, because that's all we was given to start with. Then we realized the dream was obtainable. Now look at us.
What's going on, Eagles Nation and TMTP family? Welcome back to another episode here on the Main Thing Podcast presents. It's your boy, Mr. Owens. And after further review, the call stands. I'm still official with no stripes. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls of all ages, thank you again for tapping back in here with the Main Thing Podcast presents. Your presence and your time here with us is truly appreciated. We know that you could have been anywhere in the world, but we're glad and we thank you that you're here with us. Now, Eagles family, a lot has been happening and been busy in the city of Philadelphia this week during the offseason. But hey, what's new, right? Free agency is underway. Players are leaving. Players are coming in. Trade rumors are flying and circulating everywhere. People are panicking online. And of course, Howard Roseman is quietly playing chess while everybody else continues to play checkers. So in today's Eagles report, we're going to be breaking down which Eagles left in free agency and the contracts they signed, how compensatory picks work, and why Howie loves that system, the Jordan Davis extension, and why the bust narrative aged terribly like some spoiled milk, the Jalen Breadman Carter trade rumors and why the narrative around him have flipped, the Tariq Woolen signing and what Vic Fangio can do with him, the Johnny Munton signing and Grant Calcaterra return, and finally, the big one, the big kahuna, Maxx Crosby trade rumors and how it could actually work financially. But before we dive into all of that, to our loyal supporters, thank you. Y'all know it's all love. The Main Thing Podcast presents can't happen without the support from y'all. And to our new supporters, welcome to the community and our family. Let's continue to do our part for the community and our family. Please continue to like the videos. It does help with the visibility of our channel in the algorithm. Disrespect that comment section, share, and subscribe to the community and our content. And last but not least, make sure to turn on them noties and keep your ears and eyes peeled to the streets like your local neighborhood watch so you don't miss when me and Big Huss drop this pressure on y'all. So look, first, let's start with the players who departed in free agency, because this is where a lot of fans are starting to panic. But this is also where Howard Roseman is intentionally playing the compensatory pick game per usual. Here are some of the players who have moved on from our Philadelphia Eagles. Jahan Dotson, he signed a 2-year deal with the Atlanta Falcons. Dotson, of course, did have some moments here in Philadelphia, but ultimately became expendable because of the depth we have at wide receiver. Now, I know that we have a lot of trade rumors involving Arthur Juan K. But then we also got to remember that we do have Darius Cooper still in the fold who can fill in for Jahan Dotson in that wide receiver 3 role. And then also we got a forgotten soldier in Johnny Wilson, who unfortunately had a season-ending injury last year, but is looking to come back strong. And he possibly can make a push for that wide receiver 3 role as well. We still have the draft coming in April where we can fill out that wide receiver 3 role as well. But also another player who left here in Philadelphia is Jalen Phillips. We all thought that he was going to re-sign back in Philadelphia here long term, especially to be back in the city of Philadelphia and to play under Vic Fangio. But he signed a 4-year deal. He got paid by the Carolina Panthers. Now, this one hurts a little bit because he was a productive edge rusher in our rotation. But again, it comes down to cap management and future extensions. Another player that got away seemingly overnight. We didn't even hear a lot of news about this, but quarterback Sam Howell, he signed a 1-year deal with the Cowgirls. You stinky, man. Oh, my. But that is a depth quarterback who moved on to the Dallas Cowboys. Another player is Matt Pryor, a great backup offensive lineman here in Philadelphia. He signed a 1-year deal with the Arizona Cardinals. He was a solid depth offensive lineman, but the Eagles can replace him through the draft. Another player is Azeez Ojulari, who signed a 1-year deal with the Atlanta Falcons. He never really found his footing in the rotation. And of course, injuries limited him through the 2025 NFL season. Josh Uche also signed a 1-year deal. I believe he signed with the Miami Dolphins. Josh Uche kind of came on towards the end of the season, showing flashes, but ultimately it wasn't enough for him to warrant another contract here in Philadelphia. Reed Blankenship, half of the Exciting Whites and co-host of the Exciting Mikes, he moved on and signed a 3-year deal with the Houston Texans. Now, we know that Reed had a story that you can just be enamored by. He was an undrafted guy. So every day he had to bring his lunch pail and prove that he belonged in this league. And he was a solid safety on a back end here in Philadelphia. But again, when it comes time to getting paid, look, you got to go where the money is. And he took his talents down to the Houston Texans. And finally, Nakobe Dean. This one hurt my soul. Oh my gosh. He signed a 3-year deal with the Las Vegas Raiders. Now, we know Nakobe Dean, Georgia Bulldog. He was here with all his boys from Georgia playing outstanding football, battled through injuries and kept battling adversity and coming back stronger every single time. When Nakobe is fully healthy, Nakobe is one of them dudes. He's one of them ones for real. And we're not even going to sugarcoat that, man. He's going to be missed in the middle of this defense. But of course, we all know that we did use a first-round pick on Jahad Campbell, who's currently going to be out majority of this offseason with battling a shoulder injury where he got shoulder surgery on. But then also we got Jeremiah Trotter Jr. in the fold, who's willing, who's going to step up. We saw him last year when he did get his snaps. He played some excellent ball, so we couldn't give the money to Nakobe. So unfortunately, he had to move on to the Las Vegas Raiders. But we did have one big, basically parting gift from Nakobe Dean. He gave a big F you to the Dallas Cowboys because it came down to the Las Vegas Raiders and the Dallas Cowboys. They had around the same amount of years and the same amount of money for the contract, but he ultimately chose the Las Vegas Raiders. So we see where our boy Nakobe's heart truly lies, man. It lies here in Philadelphia, and he will always be good here in Philadelphia, no matter where his career takes him. We know that Nakobe in his heart and in our hearts is always a Philadelphia Eagle. But I definitely want to say congratulations to all the free agents who received contracts with new teams. Look, your time here in Philadelphia was appreciated, and we're always going to remember y'all for being a player for the Philadelphia Eagles. And y'all always good in our book over here, especially in my book. But to further your career, we want to say congrats and also good luck with your future endeavors. But again, Eagles fans, Eagles family, this is something that we need to remember that is very, very important. Again, I'm going to say it. You cannot pay everyone. You can't. It's simply not mathematical. The math ain't mathing. So Howie Roseman tries to do the best of his jobs to make sure that he continues to put competitive football teams on the field here in Philadelphia. But again, we can't pay everybody. And I know it's a tough pill to swallow, but some people have to go along on their journey and continue their careers in different uniforms, especially when you have young, elite defensive core guys that will eventually need massive, and I do mean massive contracts. Now, this is where Howie Roseman really shines. Shine bright like a diamond. Because every time a team loses more qualifying free agents than they sign, the NFL awards compensatory draft picks. Those picks typically fall between rounds 3 and 7. The formula is simple. It considers the player's salary, their playing time, and their postseason honors. So when players like Jahan Dodson, Jalen Phillips, Reed Blankenship, and Nakobe Dean, amongst others, sign larger deals elsewhere, the Eagles could receive extra draft picks in 2027. And we've seen Howard do this for years now. He lets certain players walk, collects the comp picks, and then uses those picks to either draft talent or package them in massive trades. This is why the Eagles always seem to have extra draft capital in the chamber, because Howie Roseman knows how to play the game, and he knows how to play it very well. Again, this is why he is the best GM in the NFL, and I will make my claim and state that he is the best GM in all of sports. So let's talk about a player whose narrative has completely changed in the past few years, and that's big boy. And I mean big boy, big dog, Jordan Davis, Jordan Swaggy Davis. The Eagles gave Jordan Davis a 3-year contract extension to keep him in Philadelphia long term. And remember, because this kind of was the instance where people wanted Ricky Williams drafted over Donovan McNabb. People wanted Earl Thomas drafted over Brandon Graham. Now, I remember when people were saying that we should have drafted Kyle Hamilton instead of Jordan Davis. People were calling him a bust. People were saying he's never going to amount to the first round draft pick that we used on him. And even we got to remember too, because it wasn't that far off. A lot of people didn't even want QB1 to get drafted here in Philadelphia. And look how that turned out, right? But fast forward a few years now into reality. Jordan Davis has become a cornerstone of the defensive line rotation here in Philadelphia. He's an elite run stopper. He has a dominant interior presence, and he is a player that allows the Eagles front to stay fresh. This extension tells you that the organization believes he is part of the long-term defensive nucleus and plans here in Philadelphia. Once again, shout out and congrats to Jordan Swaggy Davis, man. You deserve every single penny, making you the highest paid nose tackle of all time, man. Do your thing, man. We're happy to have you here in Philadelphia because we know it's only the start of your career, and we're eager to see how the rest of your career will pan out. Now, excuse me, this made me chuckle a little bit. It tickled my fancy. Okay. This is the funny story of the week. Jalen Breadman Carter trade rumors. Some teams reportedly checked in on his availability. Now, that is hilarious. What Kool-Aid are y'all drinking? Because I definitely want to sip. Are y'all dumb? What made you think that Jalen Breadman Carter would be available in a trade? Again, Howard Roseman has made it specifically clear that we're all about adding elite talent and not subtracting elite talent. So fans, teams, I don't know what y'all thought this was, but it wasn't that, because Jalen Breadman Carter ain't going nowhere no time soon and will be in Philadelphia for the long haul. This is hilarious to think about, though, right? Because when Carter first came out in the draft, half of the league passed on him because of character concerns, right? Now, those are the same teams calling the Eagles trying to trade for him. How ironic, man. This is crazy. Everybody called us crazy when we took a chance on Jalen Breadman Carter. Everybody called Howie crazy for taking a chance on Jalen Breadman Carter. Nobody wanted to touch him because his character concerns, and he was a knucklehead and he gets in trouble too much. He has a lot of off the field issues. Well, now, joke's on you. Why? Because since arriving here in Philadelphia, he's done exactly what the Eagles believe that he will do. Work hard, stay focused, and dominate on the field in the trenches. The Eagles believed in the player, and now the rest of the league is trying to play catch up like mustard. Okay? But let me be very clear. There is almost zero, finito, no chance that the Eagles move on from Breadman Carter. He is the future of our defensive line in Philadelphia. I don't even know why I had to bring that up, because it is just moronic that teams really think that we will be willing to part ways with a cornerstone generational talent such as Jalen Breadman Carter. Keep the jokes coming, because I'm over here going to continue to laugh about what y'all thought y'all could have had or could have been with Jalen Breadman Carter. But he does look good in midnight green. Okay. So one of the most interesting signings of the week, we got a Super Bowl champion here, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls of all ages. And we got to welcome to the city, to the biddy, like we do, man. And that is cornerback Tariq Woolen. The Eagles signed Tariq Woolen to a 1-year deal worth about $12 million, with incentives up to $15 million. Now, when I say that's a steal, that is a bargain. Okay. It seems like for those who shop at Ross, I shop at Ross. No problem with that. Marshalls, you know, when you get that brand name, but you get a great deal on it. That's this situation right here with Tariq Woolen. And this is a fascinating move, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls of all ages, because look at the situation that he's walking into. He gets to play alongside Quintanamo Bay Mitchell, locked down 23-1. Nobody throwing to his side. Nobody's looking his way. We know we got one of them real ones outside on that island. And then also we got Cooper DeJean, the best nickel corner in the league, easily a top 5 corner in this league. Man, nobody be trying to throw to the slot, neither with Coop up in there. You don't want no parts of Coop or Quinyon. Everybody knows this, okay? And they are two of the best young corners in football. And also, he gets a chance to be coached by Godfather Vic. What more can you ask for? What more do you want from me, right? So Fangio is known for developing defensive backs, and maximizing their length and athleticism in his scheme. Now, Tariq Woolen already has some elite traits. He's 6'4", about 210, runs like a 4'3", runs like a gazelle, has great ball production, and is a ball hawk. He goes after that football. Now, some issues with Tariq Woolen is in short space in a quick game, he can give up some passes as well. On double moves, he's susceptible to getting beat on some big plays. But like me and Big Huss always say, the front end works with the back end works with the front end. We know how Howie Roseman treasures offensive line and defensive line, but specifically right now, we're talking about the defensive line. You see why Jordan Davis got extension. You see why Jalen Braidman Carter's getting extension. And then you're going to see what we do on the edge, because when the front can put pressure on a quarterback, you don't have to hold up as long in the back end in coverage. And when the corners, you got lockdown corners and safeties in the back end, that allows the defensive lineman the ability to get after the quarterback and get those pressures and get those sacks. But in something else that we got to talk about, Tariq Woolen, is we know about our culture here in Philadelphia and how we're disciplined. One thing that I noticed about him over in Seattle, he gets a lot of taunting penalties. I can remember one in the NFC Championship game. He got a taunting penalty, and he basically led the league in taunting fouls. We already had to deal with one knucklehead here that did a lot of taunting penalties in Derek Barnett. Now, Tariq, you're coming into a situation in the organization that does not tolerate none of that taunting. Now, we want you to talk your junk on the field. We want you to be proud and excited to play here in Philadelphia, but that's something that you're going to have to turn that notch down a few levels. But I'm pretty certain that the leadership that we have here in Philadelphia and the organization that we have here in Philadelphia, that won't be an issue. Look, if we can deal with my boy, my man's CJ Gardner-Johnson, I'm pretty sure that we can deal with Tariq Woolen and make sure that he is disciplined enough to not cost the team in dumb moments and dumb situations, doing dumb things. But while I'm on that topic, Howie, if you're listening and you're viewing this content, please sign CJ Gardner-Johnson back, man. Third time's a charm. Bring him back in the fold. Bring him back to the nest, because we definitely need CJ Gardner-Johnson here. But back to Tariq Woolen. If Vic Godfather Fangio unlocks him, this secondary could be one of the best in the NFL. I'm telling y'all right now. You got Quinyon, Coop, and Tariq Woolen. Imagine trying to throw against them, man. Look, it's going to be strap city for a lot of these teams, all right? Plus, Tariq Woolen with the 6'4" frame and running a 4.3, he does very well in covering vertical routes and a lot of like crossing routes and deep crossers and overs and things like that. So I'm definitely excited to have Tariq Woolen here. And I know a lot of people were upset about Adoree Jackson, even though I did predict Adoree Jackson to win the starting job last season over Kelee Ringo. He started out not that great. We all know that. But towards the end of the season, Adoree Jackson did his part as CB2. But however you want to slice it, no matter the taunting penalties, no matter Tariq Woolen giving up big plays here and there, he is an upgrade over Adoree Jackson in every single way. Now, another underrated move that we had here this week was the Eagles signing tight end Johnny Munt to a one-year deal. He formerly played with the Jacksonville Jaguars and Minnesota Vikings, but this is what I call a lunch pail type of player. He's not flashy, but extremely valuable. Mutt is known as a strong blocking tight end, which helps the run game and play action offense, something that Sean Mannion is incorporating heavily into our offense for the 2026 season. We saw how last year our run game kind of took a hit because we didn't have the best blocking up front within our offensive line. And then also outside of Dallas Goedert, our tight ends could not block worth a lick. Okay, like Grant Calcaterra used to come in, get turned around like a turnstile. He definitely has to work on his blocking, but this is a gentleman who could come in and know his responsibilities in the run game, because that's where he thrives, in the run game. But these are the type of players that championship teams quietly add. It doesn't have to be a major announcement. The Eagles also re-signed aforementioned Grant Calcaterra on a 1-year deal. Calky gives the offense pass catching ability, tight end depth, and red zone flexibility here in Philadelphia. And again, keeping him on a cheap 1-year deal fits perfectly with the Eagles' cap strategy. So there were some coaching promotions and adjustments. One of the biggest was Clint Hurt. He was promoted to associate head coach. Clap it up, clap it up, clap it up, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls of all ages, while keeping his role with the defensive line. Now, we all know that Christian Parker left for those nasty, stinky cowgirls. So Clint Hurt has been taking on more responsibility, especially with us trying to figure out the offensive coaches and things like that, and just try to make sure that everything is put in place here in Philadelphia for the upcoming season. Clint Hurt has definitely taken on more of a role and responsibility, but that is a major vote of confidence here for Clint Hurt. He came over after Pete Carroll got fired in Seattle, but ever since Clint Hurt has came here and been the defensive line coach, we've seen our defensive line do exactly what we thought they would do. Get after the quarterback, apply pressure, and get those sacks in. We can't leave out Clint Hurt being partly responsible for the defensive lineman's success, the way that he works with them, the way that he talks with them, the way that he knows how to use their positives and their strengths against their weaknesses, and always putting them into the position that they need to be to win their snap on that down. But the Eagles staff now includes Nick Sirianni as the head coach, of course, Vic Fangio as defensive coordinator, Michael Clay as special teams coordinator, and again, Clint Hurt as the associate head coach. So congrats to Clint Hurt for receiving that new title. But a lot of talented assistants we got across on both sides of the football. The Eagles are clearly building coaching continuity. Now, I got to rub my hands together like I'm Birdman, a Birdman hand rub. Now, let's talk about the rumor that got Eagles fans ecstatic and excited worldwide, everywhere. That being Maxx Crosby. At first glance, it seems impossible financially. Crosby's 2026 cap number is over $35 million. Meanwhile, the Eagles currently have roughly $10 million in cap space. So you ask, Mr. Owens, how does that work? I got the answer for you. There are ways to have it make it work, okay? Here's the potential blueprint for it. Step one, we got to extend Moro Ojomo. That creates about $2.3 million in cap space. Step two, either trade Nolan Smith in a Crosby deal or trade him in a separate move. That would create roughly $2 million more in cap space. Step three, we will have to restructure Maxx Crosby's contract. This is the big one, ladies and gentlemen. boys and girls of all ages, because a restructure could free up 21 million in cap space. Some cap experts believe that the Eagles could reduce Maxx Crosby's 2026 cap hit all the way down to $7 million. And suddenly, poof, voila, a move that looked impossible becomes very realistic. This is something that I know Howie Roseman and the Eagles organization is keeping tabs on, making calls, doing their due diligence, especially after Maxx Crosby didn't pass his physical in Baltimore. His value probably went down. So maybe, just maybe, there is an actual chance, because we know that the Las Vegas Raiders initially wanted 2 first rounds for Maxx Crosby. And I understand, because he is one of the ones and one of the elite pass rushers and edge rushers in the NFL today. But how we know how Howard Roseman gets down, he won't do a trade like that. So, of course, he's going to call over to the Raiders and see maybe if he can negotiate and bargain with the trade regarding Maxx Crosby, and see if we can bring Maxx Crosby to the city of Philadelphia. Another name that's still floating around the edge rusher market is Jonathan Grenard. He could still be a trade or signing option depending on how the market ends up shaking out. We know that the Eagles are clearly wanting to add pass rush depth. Okay. And I know that Howie Roseman and company have talked to Jonathan Grenard's agent. And in fact, if Jonathan Grenard is traded here to Philadelphia, it will be some type of contract extension involved. You know, Howie is always trying to work his magic and make sure that he has enough cap flexibility in the Tucky, because we know that Howard is going to continue doing his due diligence and always putting forth the best effort to put the best product on the field here in Philadelphia and putting together a championship caliber roster. So in Howard, we trust. And this brings us to the bigger picture. A lot of fans are panicking right now. You know that song that "Let's set the world on fire." That's kind of what it is when it comes to some Philadelphia fans. I'm not going to say all. I'm not going to call y'all out, but some Philadelphia fans. But you're missing the biggest strategy, okay? Howie Roseman is preparing for massive future extensions. Again, we're going to have players like Jalen Breadman Carter, Quinyon Quintana Bay Mitchell, and Cooper DeJean having contract extensions coming up in the near future. That young defensive core that we have right now is going to become very expensive very soon. So Howie is doing 3 things: not overpaying players and saving money for the key cornerstone core players here in Philadelphia, collecting compensatory picks, and reloading through the draft. And Eagles family, this is why the Eagles remain one of the best run organizations in all of football. They don't panic. They don't chase every big free agent. They build a sustainable contender every year. And if you look at the roster right now with QB1, that offensive line, the young defensive core, and Vic Fangio, Godfather Vic, running that defense, the Eagles are still positioned to compete at the highest level. But I want to hear from y'all, man. I definitely want to see what y'all thought process is and where y'all head is right now. Do you want the Eagles to go all in and trade for Maxx Crosby? Or should Howie keep building through the draft and compensatory picks? Drop y'all thoughts down in that comment section down there. But look, I hope that you all have been having an amazing start to y'all week, and that y'all finish y'all week off very, very strong and blessed. But continue to keep your eyes peeled. Me and Big Hustle are going to continue dropping these videos left and right. Y'all know it's so much news when you're a Philadelphia Eagle fan, and it's our job to make sure that y'all are all caught up to the current topics and situations that's going on. But as always, to our loyal supporters, thank you, thank you, thank you. Y'all know it's all love. The Main Thing Podcast Presents can't happen without the support from y'all. And to our new supporters, welcome to the community and our family. Let's continue to do our part for the community and our family. Please continue to like the videos. It does help with the visibility of our channel in the algorithm. Disrespect that comment section. Share and subscribe to the community and our content. Last but not least, make sure to turn on that notification bell, also known as the Liberty Bell looking thingy, so you don't miss when Swoop comes out with the Eagles news and updates. But look, y'all, check this out. In case y'all forgot who I am, don't you worry about a thing. I'll gladly remind you. I go by Mr. Owns, and this is the Main Thing Podcast Presents, where we keep the main thing the main thing. It's always a blessing to talk to y'all. We definitely appreciate the support that y'all give us here on the Main Thing Podcast Presents. And y'all already know, until next time, always love.
It was I was gonna make a lot of money doing what I wanted to do. I went after it, and it was a struggle to achieve it. But you know what? I caught that bitch. Dream chasing.